Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining me. It's Sandra Lawrence here again. Welcome to another Teacher Episodes. Because of the times, I figured today's topic might be beneficial to some. So today's focus is going to be on final exams, preparing for finals. So all across the nation, we have schools who are just about ready to close out for the year. But before that big day, students must, or usually, students have to take their final exams. So I'm just going to give you some little tips on things to do so you can have success in your finals. Okay, so here we go. Let me begin by saying you should have notes that you can review. Now, depending on the content, oftentimes there are notes in the student's binder that they can review in preparation for this final exam. It might be beneficial, though, to ask what is highly likely to be on the final exam. So your final should not be a surprise. So there should not be any surprises there in terms of assignment, in terms of content or material that you have not yet learned. So you need to review your notes and ask yourself, what is very likely to be on the final exam? How are you going to know it's likely to be on the final? These are things that your teacher possibly taught and reviewed. You saw a pattern in these types of questions reoccurring during on the quizzes and tests that you took prior to the final exam. So these are consistent items or material question bases that you've seen on previous quizzes or tests. So if they were on previous quizzes and tests consistently, it's highly likely that they're going to be in the finals. So after figuring out what's highly likely to be on the final exams, you also have to think about what might not be on the final exam. And of course, you're not going to give so much emphasis to those things that might not be on the final. If your content area that you're studying for is not a subject area that requires a lot of note-taking, for example, if it's a reading class, a lot of note-taking might not be required. How do you master this final exam for a reading class or something that requires a lot of literary reading, nonfiction reading? So what you need to do in that situation is to think about the learning standards. So each state has specific learning standards that teachers deliver. So you have to think about specific learning standards that the teacher taught throughout the school year. Now, you possibly have these standards written in your binder or it's on your course syllabus. So go ahead and reach for that. And you're going to formulate questions based on these standards. So if the standard has to do with theme, you're going to have to read passages and try to figure out or trace how the theme was developed throughout the course of that story. If the standard relates to word choice, the author's word choice, you're going to have to, whatever it is you're reading, if you have nothing you're reading, find a short story or a fiction or nonfiction, whatever standards you're working on, and read that passage and then try to figure out how the author, the writer of the article, how they deliberately chose specific words and how these words might impact you as the reader. So if there's no set study guide or notes for you to follow, just simply look at the standard that your teachers taught you throughout the school year, and you're going to try to convert these standards into direct questions like I just did. Now, just know that it's very important that you do well on the final exams. So you want to make sure that the night before you get lots of rest. Do not, get too worked up. You don't want to be too anxious. You want to enter that. I'm sure it's going to be done digitally because we're still assigned home learning. So you want to enter that testing environment, that testing platform, calm, and just prepared. Okay, so those are some tips for you in mastering your finals. Okay, thank you for joining me. It's Sandra Lawrence here again, and continue to stay safe. Bye-bye.